Sexual assault in the military continues to be a huge problem. In fact, in 2012, there were more and more discussions about the increased number of people reporting sexual assault while they were in the military. And currently, a Brigadier General by the name of Jeffrey Sinclair is standing trial for alleged forced sodomy. Let's take a look at the video and we'll discuss more details.
Once a rising star among the U.S. Army's top battle commanders, Brigadier General Jeffrey A. Sinclair is now fighting sexual assault charges that could land him life in a military prison if convicted. Sinclair, who was the deputy commander of the 82nd Airborne, was set to appear Tuesday in a Fort Bragg courtroom to face court-martial on criminal charges that include physically forcing a female captain under his command to perform oral sex.
Now, there are a number of allegations in this case, and I should note he has not been convicted of anything right now. These are all allegations. But a woman that was in his unit alleges that they had a 3-year-long affair, and during that affair, he forced her to do oral sex on 2 different occasions. He says that everything was consensual, but their relationship soured after he became closer to his wife, and when he started a new relationship with another subordinate that he obviously shouldn't have done. I mean, regardless, he looks bad regardless of all of this. But just to give you guys a broader picture of what's happening in the military right now, the statistics are really depressing. In fact, between July 1st of 2012 and June 30th of 2013, there were 3,553 reports of sexual assault, and that's a 43% increase from the year before. Now, they're uncertain whether this is because there have been more sexual assaults or if it's because more people are feeling comfortable enough to report it. But if you look at 2012, the numbers from the Pentagon are very depressing. They did a survey of people in the military, and they found that soldiers were 15 times more likely to be raped by a comrade than killed by an enemy. And the Defense Department released a report estimating there were 26,000 incidents of unwanted sexual conduct during the 2012 fiscal year. So again, this is a very, very big problem. And, you know, I want to open the discussion up to the panel. Sonali, I mean, you've done some work in Afghanistan. You have, a sense of maybe a sense of what's going on in the military. I don't know if you've been following what's been happening.
Oh, of course. I mean, this is a huge issue. There have been documentaries about it. And I think, my takeaway whenever I hear about stories of sexual assault in the military is if rates are so high compared to the general population, just as, for example, suicide rates in the military are, what is it about military culture that encourages this? And the answer stares us right in the face. I mean, military culture, even though, of course, we have women in the military and now even in the Marines, is that it's a culture of machismo. It's a culture that's driven by testosterone. It's a culture that is based on getting tough and basically, showing people who's boss. I mean, you're essentially there to fight wars. It's aggression related, and that's what rape is. That's what sexual assault is. It's about power and proving a power dynamic. I am stronger than you. So we're training men and women to encourage that. We're training them to boost that part of their psyche and their brain. I'm not surprised by these statistics.
Another really sad part of this entire story is that oftentimes when someone is sexually assaulted or raped in the military, they have to go to an officer within the chain of command, and that officer decides whether or not there will ever be prosecution of the person who is accused of carrying out the rape. Now, Senator Gillibrand has proposed legislation that would ensure that an outside prosecutor would be brought in order to decide whether or not a prosecution is likely to happen or should happen. But it doesn't seem like Congress is in favor of that. Democrats and Republicans are very split on that issue, and I don't really understand why. Obviously, if you're going to go to someone who is within the chain of command, they're going to look to support their own soldiers. And that's part of the reason why so many people haven't reported their own sexual assault within the military.
Yeah, I'm sure that the sudden increase in reported assaults is a reporting issue. There wouldn't be any outside trigger that suddenly would increase the amount of assault. I think a couple of other factors need to be considered too as to why it's prevalent. One of them is just demographic. I mean, the young people in the military, if you look at in the general population, sexual assaults, violent crime of all natures tend to occur, males between the ages of 18 and 24 is where it spikes. That's also the military age. So some of it's a demographic thing that would create that concentration. The other thing is, there was just a thing published in the LA Times a couple of days ago, a report from the Journal of the American Medical Association. 1 in 5 military recruits, according to this new study, have, before joining the military, have a history of things that would correlate with mental illness. And that would be suicidal tendencies, violent tendencies, etc. Now, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying, of course. This is the era where people freak out. But this is a legitimate study. Now, why would a large cohort of people with mental illness be attracted to a area where they're allowed to live where they live in a very regimented, highly violent, highly aggressive environment? We can speculate. But certainly the demographic of people who are in the military, it's pretty easy to establish. That is a scary place, and the solution is not going to be to cover up. It is not respect for the military to cover it up. It is respect for America to talk about it so that we can have a more effective military.
Shane, do you see any type of solution to this in the near future? I mean, anytime these types of accusations come up, for instance, with the Brigadier General that we were talking about earlier, people are immediately downplaying what the accusations are, because they're saying, hey, you know what, she had a 3-year-long affair with him, and if you have an affair with this guy, how is it considered non-consensual if you're having oral sex with him? So do you feel that those are the types of excuses that are going to prevent any real solutions in the future?
Right. I mean, I think Sonali and Bob are right that these are institutions with entrenched cultures, and they're, the problem is very deep and requires a big picture, long-term solution, step by step. And I do think, people and the media are attracted to cases like this that have a lot of, drama and horror, and so you kind of focus on what's the result of that case, and it is a distraction from solving the bigger, more entrenched problems that are going to take longer. Just like the discussion we were having before, that systemic change, not these kind of one-off solutions, are going to work. And the solutions are simple. There are lots of solutions to these problems. The problem is political.
And I also think that the same kinds of victim blaming culture in our society at large that questions rape victims' stories play out in the military maybe are even more so. I mean, husbands can't rape their wives. If you were dating him, if you slept with him once, the second time you slept with him, how could that be rape? I mean, these are things that the Taliban would say. I mean, in Afghanistan, there's a law been passed that it's a man's right to have sex with his wife, and that there's no such thing as rape in marriage. But we hear echoes of that here in this country too, and of course that's amplified in the military.
I have friends who believe that here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have friends who have told that to who have said that to me here with a straight face, and and these are people I actually like and share a culture with and everything.
And as the sole man on our panel today, don't feel
Well, I like that you guys pointed to parallels between the United States and Afghanistan when it comes to issues of sexual assault. My final commentary on this topic is more about this notion of supporting our troops. Whenever it comes to a certain agenda, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, they love to say, hey, you need to support our troops. If you start to question or criticize our decision to invade another country, oh, you're being unpatriotic, you're not supporting our troops. But when it comes to real issues that impact our troops, they will turn the other way and pretend as if it's not happening. Something needs to be done now. This is an issue that's been going on for quite a bit now, and they haven't done anything to really address it. There have been some proposals, but of course Congress refuses to come to a consensus to deal with the problem. So if you really are concerned about supporting the troops, you will be aggressive in fighting against this type of activity and behavior within the troops.